that's the one piece of essential equipment that I do need, the fishing rod. And how about this Winnebago lifestyle? Look at it. I've pulled up in a beautiful park by the river in the Northern Territory. The family's back there relaxing. Daddy's going fishing. I'm going to target the flats today. Got some shallow running lures. I'll take a couple of poppers in case there's some pelagic activity, some softies in case I want to fish deeper. But it's these little babies amongst the flats I'm hoping will go off today. If the tide's right, I'm targeting things like threadfin salmon, barramundi, both great table fish. I'll get all this mess sorted out and I'll see you out in the water. Isn't that beautiful? A mangrove-lined estuary in the Northern Territory. There's hundreds of them. And what I'm doing different here today is targeting the shallows. Most often people target rock bars, big channels, deep drains, but I'm fishing in no more than 1 to 2 feet of water with shallow running lures. I've got my old mate Phil Newton, he's come all the way down from Darwin, and we're going to head along here, see if we can catch a threadfin salmon, a barramundi, a blue salmon. Let's get into it. Looks good, doesn't it?
Looks beautiful, mate. Yep, all the water's dropped out and the bait's come down and it should be good.
Fishing can be all about the subtle little things sometimes. Now what we can see here is a tiny little drain. You'd normally drive straight past it, but today it's a secret to catching fish in this scenario, Phil.
That's it, yeah. Basically the bait comes down.
Yeah, you can see that running there, the water. So they get forced out of those flats. They have to come out here.
They have to come out here. The barrels will sit there waiting, and also it keeps them out of cover too. So there's usually a bit of a muddy line down the bottom of the drain, and they can sit in that little bit dirty water as protection, you know, to hide themselves.
Absolutely.
And then basically waiting there ambushing.
So it's cover and food, and you can get a surprisingly big fish laying in that drain. If you look at it, it goes down. A bit of mud on the end of the rod there.
It's much deeper
it's
up
going
the top
down
here. You can see it a bit better.
A couple of feet. So you can get a surprisingly big fish laying there. Like I said, cover and food, you'll find fish. Let's go target the next one up here, Phil. We're too close to this one now. You don't expect to catch a fish on the first drain that you target. It's all about moving along the bank and targeting lots of drains, as many as you can fit into the time you've got. And not all drains are the same. Some are a bit bigger, but it's important that you target the shallows for this sort of fishing. There he is, mate. Just flick it in front of him. Just get it in front of him. Big thready, is it? Twitch, 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 twitch. He's fine, he's got it.
Yes! Woo!
He's got it.
Nice, thready.
Oh, yes. You saw that? Fish was in that much water. It doesn't get any better than that. Now those guys there are normally sniffing along. They've got big feelers on them, which you'll see if we land it. And they look for prawns in the mud and bait because the water's really discoloured, so they use those feelers, and they're very hard to catch on lure. So you've done good if you can catch this fish, mate. Well, there you go. Just casting lures in these little drains along these flats. It is super shallow. You get out and walk here, and tiny little flat wrap that doesn't go more than about 6 inches deep. And Phil spotted a fish while I was casting down the back at that drain. In this next drain, cast in, had its head down, it turned and went bang. Oh, I'm hitting bottom, that's how shallow it is.
Beautiful big thready.
Look at him there, take your time, mate. They're only light hooks. Take your time, buddy. We've got, oh, he's only just hooked. I'd back it right off, buddy. We've got time.
Yep.
Very light rod. What we talk about though with light gauge hooks, the hook-up's really easy because the fine gauge slips in easy, but you can't use heavy rods and you can't give them too much or you'll bend the hook. So it's all about matching the gauge of the hook to the tackle you're using, and have a good think about what's the weakest link. And in this case, it's all balanced nicely, so we should be okay. Very strong fish, the threadfin salmon. Is it it's not a blue salmon, more...
No, definitely a threadfin.
Definitely a threadfin.
That's it.
That's the biggest species. There's a blue salmon. There's a couple of different species, and you'll see in a minute why they're called threadfin. Very strong fish. I wish you had a net, mate. This is tricky. Got him.
Beautiful.
Look at that. That is a magnificent threadfin salmon. Now, the name comes from those things under there, which is not hard to see. They're like thread fins. He uses those to feel around in the mud for prawns, little bait fish, crabs, whatever he can smash. Notice his mouth is not angled up too high. He can feed off the bottom. Beautiful big fins on him, powerful tail, and one of the best eating fish you'll find in a tropical estuary. Mate, I'd like to put him on the barbecue if you wouldn't mind. Is that okay?
No worries, mate.
Much appreciated. They're better than barramundi. A prize catch up here, and just fantastic to see that they've stopped the netting in a lot of rivers in the Northern Territory, and you can catch a fish like that on lure. The little flat wrap there, which has been a revelation up here in the tropics.
Amazing lure.
And you heard it from one of the locals. Yep, very happy with the lure, very happy with the fish, very happy with the fishing, very happy all round. Woo! In the Northern Territory, the tides rule the life of most estuary-dwelling fish. The high tides are often 7 metres or more in this area, which means the water is right up in the mangroves. But all that water and everything in it has to move out as the tide drops, which puts predators and bait fish in one big melting pot of activity, especially where the gutters concentrate the action. But being big, fast-moving tides, the window of opportunity is short. So it's all a matter of careful planning so you're in the right place at the right time. Beautiful little queenfish. So it's not just barramundi and threadfin salmon, all sorts of predators will hunt along the edges, like over there behind us, looking for bait fish. But always look for those little features if you can't see bait fish busting up or bigger fish like this actually breaking the surface. Cover and food is what it's all about. You get him back there, mate. I'm going to have a cast. Yep. Yeah, yes.
Well done. Out a bit wider this time.
Yep. I've got to watch that rock.
Oh,
Double hook up.
no.
He's got you on the stick. Much bigger drain coming out here, and we've got these
Straight in.
little shallow running flat wraps that cast a long way, which is very important in shallow water. You need the stealth factor. These are not big barramundi. Not a big fella, but a beautiful fish at any size, hey?
That's it.
And they really got that ambush mouth like barramundi are actually a perch. They just love buffing stuff. They don't chase stuff down at speed. They sneak up on it and go clunk, and that's exactly how you've got to retrieve your lure to get your lure in a gob like that. Look at it. If you plan to visit the Territory and would like to chat fishing, drop Phil an email. Believe me, it's pretty easy to get him to wet a line. With Gray and Kenyon, he runs cultural tours about 45 minutes out of Darwin at a little place called Humpty Doo Station. Now, what do you call your tours for a start, mate?
Well, it's called Protocol Cultural Tours.
Yeah, I was having trouble pronouncing it.
Protocol is pronounced, Protocol is a spear tree.
Okay.
It grows about 6-7 metre tall in the actual rainforest.
Okay.
It's actual freshwater hibiscus.
Is that the one you use for the spear?
You make the spears out of it there.
Okay, as a bit of a special treat later, Graham's brother Steve's going to take us out and hopefully spear us a Saratoga or a barramundi. But usually, as part of your tours, what do you do? People, you have big groups coming through and buses.
Yeah, we got a business with Adventure Tour Australia.
Yeah.
Always when you go to Aboriginal country, you're supposed to get welcome.
Okay.
So what do? We welcome people on country and then do 15-minute walks and talk of bush medicine, bush tools.
Yeah.
And then after that, did you explain display?
Yeah.
How to play it, and how to connect it back to the cultural connection with the land.
What do you call this hut behind us, mate? It's a beautiful little hut.
This one they call it's a little bush camp sort of thing. Hut. Probably ought to be the word Humpty Doo.
Yeah.
It's pronounced really Humpy too.
Humpy too.
It was too humpy.
Ah.
So they got the name Humpty too. It was Humpty Doo.
Ah, there's a bit of local information for you.
So.
Now you're a full-blood Aboriginal.
Yep.
What age do you get to go and spear a barramundi from your tribe?
When you're about 10 to 11 years old.
Is that the age where you're
the
allowed
age
to
when
do it?
you're allowed to do it. We go in the rivers and our swim channels and that. Stand in the water and then you wait for a while and feel a barrow come through your leg. whoop, and then next
You
thing
feel them?
You feel them hit, go through your legs.
They
and
get when they touch you.
they touch you, and that's when they start running, taking off.
Yeah.
That's when you end up spearing actually.
As it's taken off.
As it's taken off.
Oh, that's a real skill.
Yeah.
And you've got a few?
I've got about probably 250 barrel that I speared.
250. Oh, it's not easy, is it?
It's not easy.
Not
no.
easy. Yeah, once you've got the fish, it's still not over. You've got to get the fish out. Yeah.
Well, make sure you tie something. If it's a deep water, tie a bit of string on it. So you don't want to be swimming in there with a croc. With
the fish is flapping around.
Yeah.
What's the indigenous name in your tribe for barramundi?
I will call it jibba.
What does that mean?
It means barra.
No special meaning. The one thing I have been meaning to ask you, and do you get in trouble for going on walkabout?
No. No, walkabout is part of the thing that it's an Aboriginal thing. It's like you guys go to university.
Yeah.
We go out bush.
Oh, so it's something more of a young man would do.
Yeah.
So it's more like a learning experience.
It's a learning experience.
It's not just disappearing because the kids are stressing you out.
No.
Okay, right, okay.
So walkabout is all about education, and like many cultures, a refresher course is always a good excuse to go bush and get some boys' time out. And that's exactly what I did next with Graham's brother Steve.
Like that, yeah.
For more information on the top end, visit travelnt.com.
Bit of a special treat this. Steve's brought us onto a billabong, which is owned by the traditional owners of the land, and whitefellas normally aren't allowed in here. And he's going to sneak along the bank here and try and spear as maybe a Saratoga or mullet or a barramundi, whatever we can find. Steve, what are you looking for here, mate?
Well, normally you look underneath a shady tree, but then all them fish they hang around underneath the shade.
Okay.
Because it's more cooler, and a lot of them young fish they hang around on the edge of that bank.
Okay.
Underneath, and that's where they got more go,
yep.
And they can get more feed like on the edge.
Okay.
Like in the middle and all that, it's too open.
Too open and too much.
And too much sunlight.
Yes.
They won't hang around in the sunlight and all that area.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go in the shady area where it's more cooler, and that's where they'll hang around like all day.
Okay.
And you got more better chance like on the side of that, hanging around underneath like all them tree and all that.
All right. Well, let's go see how we go.
When you spend a day with a guy like Steve, you really get an understanding of how connected to the land these traditional owners are. Their knowledge of how the birds and animals within these billabongs give you signs of where the fish might be really is quite incredible.
Steve's eyesight is just incredible. I'm trying to spot some Saratoga about 25 metres away. He's been sitting and watching them now. He said there's two there. I can't see them. But I might go over there and have a crack at him with a spear. It's all yours, Steve.
Check them out.
Here he goes, line him up, there's something there. Got him! He got him! Oh, sensational. Bring him up here, Steve, and give us a look at that. It's a tarpon. What do you normally call those, mate? Come on up. The traditional techniques are winning. Only managed this little fella so far. What do you call that? And his laugh. That's put a smile on his face. What do you call that one, mate?
I normally call them like bubble fish or big eye fish, because they got large eye.
Yeah, and bubbles, obviously, because they splash a lot, yeah?
Yeah, when they come up and they go back down again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good eating?
Yeah, they're right.
Yeah?
A little bit like Saratoga.
Okay.
They got a lot of bone too.
A lot of bones, yeah? So cook him whole, maybe?
Yeah.
On the coals?
On the coal, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well done, that is quite a shot. I mean, that is some skill. That's not a heavy fish, so you have to have a lot of power in that to get the spear through it. What a great experience. I finally got to watch a traditional spear fisherman performing one of the oldest fishing techniques on the planet. The Northern Territory is a vast land. They say if you travel every road up here, you'll only see 1% of the place. Well, I'm about to see a whole lot more. There's nothing more exciting than a bit of heli fishing, and the guys at Albatross Helicopters specialise in exactly that. And speaking of albatross, how about the bird's eye view? You can check out creeks that drain into large bays, billabongs, all sorts of fishy scenarios, and we're going looking for a spot that we're going to have all to ourselves. Absolutely outstanding piece of flying. We've landed in a spot no bigger than a golfing green. The best thing about it is I could see that there's no other possible way of getting here except for in a chopper. Two-piece rod always handy, or you might end up with a two-piece anyway. Let's go fishing. Come on, pumped. I can see the water's moving quite fast under those trees, so there's no need in this situation to try and peg your lure up into the snags. If you get caught on that side, no one's going for a swim to get it back because there's crocodiles all through this area. But on this side, you can see how the water swings around and goes slow in here. As the barramundi travel up the river, like these leaves, they'll naturally fall into this eddy, so when they arrive, they should hang around for a fair time. And plus, it's quite deep along this bank just here. You can see this bank's slightly undercut. Look at that. It doesn't slope, as you can see. That's a perfect spot for a barra to come and lay in, and a number of other species as well. It's all a bit of a waiting game now. Even we've come to a remote spot where no one else can practically get. You've still got to wait for the right moment in the tide and wait for those fish to turn up. Oh, a little barra. Only a little guy, but still. Got him. That was pretty quick, mate. Just a little baby guy there. When we were landing the chopper, I saw some absolutely huge guys up on the floodplain. So we might tangle one of them a bit later, but it's a start.
Yeah, it's a start.
Beautiful little barra. You must have caught a couple before or not?
Yeah, I've caught a few fish before, yeah. Caught a few barra.
Yeah, you would have done living in a place like this. But this one's just a tad embarrassing.
Yeah, he's a little bit too small. It's just a warm-up.
A warm-up for you. All right, we'll definitely give him a swim. It seemed Angus's barra was it for this spot, but with a chopper at our disposal, it was easy to check out a lot of other good barra water. The area below us is the Mary River coastal floodplain. It's unusual in the top end in that it lacks a single major river channel that flows to the ocean. Compared to other coastal floodplains up here, the slower drainage results in greater areas of flooded wetland habitat for longer periods. And all this makes the Mary an extremely complex and fertile system. Importantly for us, the floodplain environment provides a major nursery for fish, notably barramundi. Shane's on the one here. This is quite an interesting system, and the barra are slowly getting bigger as the sun gets lower, which is very classic barra behaviour. Not a huge fish there, Shane, but a barramundi nonetheless. It'd be a legal size. Beautiful fish. All right, I'll be very careful here. It's easy because I've only got light trebles on this. If I can get him in the lip, I'll be right. I'll be quick to do this because I don't want to wear a set of trebles, so I've got to be very careful, and I don't want to get by a croc, so I've got to be quick. Got him. Okay, a beautiful little barramundi, probably about 55, 60 centimetres. He'd be legal if you wanted to keep one, but we're going to let him go. But the system here behind me is known as a barrage. It's they've basically bulldozed across the mouth of a little creek to hold all the fresh water back. These guys get trapped in here, they get a little bit bigger, and it keeps the fresh water up on the floodplain. You know, it's just one thing they do up here, right or wrong, and it holds barramundi. we're on again here. This is a slightly heavier fish. I've got a heavier rod here, and I'm just slow rolling a soft plastic through this deeper section. Not a huge barra, but what I've liked most about today is the helicopter. I mean, we're flying over spots, looking and saying, yeah, there, that looks like where a barra might hang out. It's deep, or it's got a bit of runoff, or it's a nice looking lagoon, or nobody can get in there except us. And in some instances, we've even been able to see the barra spook away, land the helicopter, let the pool settle down a little bit, and within about half an hour, they've come on the chew. What a great present this would be for the fishaholic in your family, heli fishing with the boys from Albatross. Ah! Barramundi are pretty much guaranteed, and you're going to have a great day out. Memorable. The setting sun marks the end of this top-end adventure. And while there's plenty more piscatorial hotspots up here that I'd like to show you, those stories will have to wait for another time.